Please video like and subscribe this channel. The transit hall of Virex station was never quiet. Even during its artificial night cycle, the air vibrated with the sounds of alien languages, humming engines, and the constant pulse of commerce moving between star systems. Species from dozens of worlds passed through its wide metallic corridors every day: traders, soldiers, diplomats, refugees. Strength ruled here. Efficiency ruled here. Weakness had no place. And so, no one dared speak to her. She sat alone on the far edge of the waiting platform, her thin frame folded inward as if trying to disappear. Her species, the Kylori, were once admired across the outer systems for their elegance: tall, luminescent-skinned beings with bioluminescent markings that glowed softly when they spoke or felt emotion. But hers were dim, faded, uneven. One of her lower limbs was twisted unnaturally, supported by a crude mechanical brace that hissed faintly every time she shifted. One of her upper eyes, Kylori had 3, was clouded over, unresponsive to light. Among her people, symmetry was sacred. Function was identity. She was neither. Passengers glanced at her and looked away just as quickly. Some whispered in unfamiliar tongues. Others adjusted their paths so they wouldn't have to pass too close. Children were pulled away by anxious parents. Guards pretended not to notice her existence. Her name was Serenal, though no one had spoken it aloud in years. She had learned long ago that silence was safer. Serenal had been born during the collapse era, when Kylori civilization was still recovering from a failed genetic ascension. The experiment was meant to perfect their bodies: stronger limbs, enhanced perception, immunity to disease. Instead, it fractured their society. Some were improved. Others, like Serenal, were broken by it. Her disability wasn't merely physical. To the Kylori, it was a reminder of failure, of hubris, of weakness they wanted erased from memory. So she was exiled, not formally, not legally, but socially. Opportunities vanished. Conversations ended before they began. She drifted from station to station, surviving on maintenance credits and quiet labor, always unseen. Until today. She sat on the cold bench, her fingers tracing the dim glow patterns along her arm, a habit that calmed her when the stairs became too heavy. She did not notice the human at first. Humans were still rare this far from the inner colonies. When she finally sensed movement beside her, her first instinct was fear. Her muscles tensed. Her eyes lowered. The human sat down anyway. He didn't hesitate. Didn't glance around to see who was watching. He simply lowered himself onto the bench beside her, exhaled softly, and rested his elbows on his knees. "Long wait," he said, casually. Serenal froze. No one had spoken to her directly in over 3 cycles. Her translator implant processed the words instantly, but her mind lagged behind. Was this mockery? A test? A mistake? She did not respond. The human didn't push. He simply nodded, as if her silence were an answer. "Name's Eli Mercer," he added after a moment. "Cargo pilot." "You." Her glow markings flickered faintly, an involuntary reaction. "I am called Serenal," she said quietly. Her voice was softer than she expected, brittle from disuse. Eli smiled. Not the sharp, predatory grin she'd seen on other species, but something gentler. Almost uncertain. "Nice to meet you, Serenal." That was it. No pity, No curiosity about her brace. No recoil. Just her name. Wordless minutes passed. Around them, the station continued its rhythm, announcements echoed, ships docked, crowds flowed like rivers. Yet something felt different. As if the space around them had shifted. Scifichannel dared to glance at him. Eli was human average in every way, medium height, worn jacket, tired eyes that suggested too many long jumps through hyperspace. He smelled faintly of engine oil and recycled air. "You don't have to sit here," she said at last. "Others may think poorly of you." He shrugged. "They already do." That surprised a soft, unfamiliar sound from her, something close to a laugh. They talked then. Slowly at first. Eli asked about her world, her travels. He listened, really listened, without interrupting or correcting her. When she spoke of Kylori traditions, he didn't compare them to his own or judge their logic. For the first time in years, Scifichannel felt present. She told him about her work recalibrating station sensors, a job few wanted but one she excelled at due to her heightened spatial perception, a side effect of the failed ascension. She told him about the brace, how it malfunctioned in high-gravity zones, how spare parts were expensive and often incompatible. Eli frowned, not at her, but at the injustice of it. "That's not right," he said simply. They didn't notice the attention until it was already too late. A Kylori delegation entered the platform, their glowing markings vibrant and symmetrical. High status. Officials. Their eyes fixed on Scifichannel and then narrowed when they saw the human beside her. Murmurs spread. One of the delegates stepped forward. "You are bringing shame upon this space," he said coldly in Kylori. "Do not draw others into your defect." Eli didn't understand the words, but he understood the tone. He stood. "I'm sitting with my friend," he said calmly. "If that's a problem, it's yours, not ours." The station guards stiffened. A confrontation between species, especially involving a human, was dangerous. Scifichannel's glow markings flared erratically. Fear surged through her. This was what happened when someone noticed her too much. But Eli didn't move. Later, she would remember that moment more clearly than any other, the way he stood slightly in front of her, not aggressively, but protectively. The Kylori delegates withdrew, disgust etched into their glowing patterns. But the damage was done. Rumors spread faster than ships in jump space. A human had chosen her. The consequences came swiftly. Scifichannel was summoned by the station council. Her work contract was suspended. She was labeled a potential disruption, a symbol that might encourage dissent among imperfect populations. Eli was furious. "They can't just erase you," he argued. "You didn't do anything wrong." "They can," she replied softly. "And they will." But something had changed inside her. The silence she once wrapped herself in no longer felt safe, it felt suffocating. Eli refused to leave. Instead, he used every contact he had, traders, engineers, diplomats, to tell her story. Not as a tragedy, but as evidence of what the galaxy ignored. He spoke of her skills, her intelligence, her quiet resilience. Others began to notice. A research collective requested her expertise. A medical consortium examined her brace and offered improvements, human-designed, adaptable, efficient. The same Kylori officials who once shunned her now found themselves questioned by neutral species. Why was someone so capable cast aside? The galaxy was watching. Months passed. Serenal stood at the observation window of a newly commissioned research vessel, her upgraded brace humming smoothly beneath her. Her glow markings shone brighter than they ever had, not because she was fixed, but because she was finally seen. Eli leaned beside her, arms crossed. "Still feels unreal," he said. She nodded. "I once believed my existence was a mistake." He looked at her sharply. It wasn't. The Kylori would not change overnight. Neither would the galaxy. Prejudice didn't vanish, it retreated, reshaped itself, waited. But Serenal was no longer alone. She had become something dangerous. A reminder. When the ship launched, its engines cutting through the void, Serenal felt something she had never known before, not gratitude, not relief. Hope. Not because a human had saved her, but because one had dared to sit beside her when no one else would. And in doing so, had forced the stars themselves to listen. End Milky Way.